Welcome to F103. This video provides an overview of the Defense Acquisition System. More specifically, we will explore how material solutions are analyzed, developed, refined, produced, and supported. These are the top 5 takeaways from the F103 lesson. When you complete this lesson, you will be familiar with the Defense Acquisition System, or DAS, the roles of the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology, or ASALT, Army Futures Command, and Army Materiel Command. The purpose of AFC's cross-functional teams, or CFTs, the urgent capability acquisition process, and the Army's approach to urgent operational needs. The Acquisition Program Baseline, or APB, is a critical document within the Defense Acquisition System, setting the foundational parameters for cost, schedule, and performance in a project. This illustrates the inherent pick-two dilemma faced by project managers and material developers when balancing these 3 elements. Performance, good, represents the quality and effectiveness of the product or system being developed. Prioritizing performance often ensures that the final product meets all required specifications and standards. Schedule, fast, refers to the timeline within which the project needs to be completed. Emphasizing schedule typically speeds up delivery, but may require sacrifices in other areas. Cost, cheap, involves managing the budget to ensure that the project stays within financial constraints. Focusing on cost efficiency can lead to reduced expenses, but might compromise quality or extend the timeline. So what's the pick-two dilemma? In the Venn diagram, the overlap between 2 of the elements highlights common trade-offs. So, for example, performance and schedule. In this case, you may have high performance quickly, but this typically comes at a high cost. Schedule and cost. Projects can be delivered on time and within budget, but often at the expense of performance. Cost plus performance. Quality can be maintained at a lower cost, but this generally leads to longer timelines. So you've seen this diagram before. Now think about how these DoD decision support systems are intertwined and interdependent. Note how the APB, performance, cost, and schedule labels have been associated with DoD's 3 primary decision support systems. Performance is tied to capability development and the need-driven nature of JSIDs. Costs significantly influence material developers and the program managers, something we'll look at closer in F107 PPBE. And of course, material development is a largely sequential process with key events, activities, phases, and other events that must happen before building new weapons, tools, systems, and other equipment that soldiers require for combat operations. But before we go any further, let's go over these material development terms. Material Capabilities Documents. This includes Initial Capabilities Documents, ICDs. This is a document that defines the capability gap that must be addressed by a new acquisition program. CDD, the Capabilities Development Document. This is a detailed document that outlines the operational performance attributes of a system to meet the capability needs identified in the ICD. Key Performance Parameters. These are the critical attributes of a system that must be met for it to be considered operationally effective and suitable. These parameters are essential for the success of the program. Acquisition Program Baseline. Well, this is cost, schedule, and performance once again. So cost is the budgeted financial resources allocated to the project. Schedule is the timeline for the development, testing, and fielding of the system, and performance is the operational effectiveness and suitability of the system as measured by its ability to meet defined capabilities. Acquisition categories, ACATs. ACAT 1, these are your major defense acquisition programs, MDAPs, with the highest level of oversight due to their cost and importance. ACAT 2, these programs do not meet the criteria for ACAT 1, but are still of significant value and require rigorous oversight. ACAT 3, these are programs with lower dollar thresholds and less oversight, typically managed at the service or component level. ACAT 4, the lowest category, including non-major acquisition programs with minimal oversight requirements. Take a moment to consider how we learned about national, joint, and service strategy and operating concepts during F101 and how these things give us the requirements that are analyzed and developed during the JSIDS process in F102. Validated material solutions bring us to DAS and its processes. This diagram depicts the 6 DAS pathways and the general purpose of each. Urgent Capability Acquisition. This pathway rapidly fields capabilities to address urgent needs within about 2 years, enabling quick responses to critical operational requirements. Middle tier of acquisition. This pathway focuses on swiftly developing prototypes and fielding systems with proven technologies requiring minimal further development. Major Capability Acquisition. This is the primary or even the traditional method, emphasizing rapid, iterative capability development to reduce costs, avoid obsolescence, and minimize risks. Software Acquisition. This pathway is tailored for acquiring custom software for the DoD, bypassing the JSIDS process. Programs must demonstrate software capability within 1 year of funding. Defense Business Systems. This pathway aligns DoD business system acquisitions with commercial and government best practices, minimizing customization of commercial products. Acquisition of Services. In this pathway, commanders ensure efficient and effective service acquisitions considering evolving industry capabilities, automation, and process improvements. This slide highlights the key roles and responsibilities within the Army material development process, providing clarity on the structure and hierarchy of decision makers and executors. Army Requirements Approvers, that's up in the top left quadrant. This includes Army Futures Command, who identifies capability gaps and presents solutions to Headquarters DA. Army Requirements and Resourcing Board, this is AR2B. It's a forum for presenting critical operational needs to senior Army leadership for rapid decision-making on accelerated fielding solutions. Army Requirements Oversight Council, the AROC. Well, we talked about this before. This is chaired by the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, and this body assesses, validates, and prioritizes JSIDS documents before they are considered by the Joint Staff. Army Civilian Requirements Approvers, that up in the top right quadrant. These include the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology, the ASALT, the Army Acquisition Executive, AAE, oversees acquisition matters. Also, we have the G6, who's the Principal Advisor on Information Management and Networks, the Military Deputy, the Principal Advisor and Overseer of the Army Acquisition Corps, the Deputy Chief of Staff G4, who's the Principal Advisor for Sustainability and Logistics. Army Program Executive Offices, That's in the bottom left quadrant. PEOs are the military or civilian officials responsible for directing various acquisition programs across multiple domains, including aviation, missile systems, ground combat systems, and more. Material developer hierarchy, bottom right quadrant. Program managers, they're rarely used, believe it or not, typically a senior role for overseeing multiple products. Project manager, also known by the acronym PM, manages specific acquisition projects, often compared to a brigade commander in level of responsibility. And then product managers, focused on more specific products within a project, and this is similar to a battalion commander in scope and responsibility. This slide illustrates the structure and relationships of the U.S. Army Futures Command within the Defense Acquisition System. So we have cross-functional teams, and these teams streamline acquisition processes by reducing requirements timelines, accelerating acquisition, and ensuring systems meet soldiers' needs effectively and affordably. Futures and concepts. In this case, the AFC identifies and prioritizes capability development needs, while combat development conceptualizes solutions, and combat systems refines and engineers these solutions. So the commanding general of AFC reports directly to the Chief of Staff of the Army and coordinates with the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology on all matters related to research, development, and acquisition. This structure enables AFC to play a central role driving innovation and accelerating the delivery of capabilities within the Army's acquisition framework. Let's look again at these key documents. The .mil.PFP, lowercase m, change recommendation, or DCR, suggests non-materiel solutions either as alternatives or complements to materiel options with significant joint force impacts, typically under the JROC or JCB review. The Initial Capabilities Document, ICD, identifies the need for materiel or mixed solutions from the JCID's capabilities-based assessment process. It can trigger a material development decision, MDD, starting the DAS acquisition process. The Capability Development Document, or CDD, outlines operational performance, support attributes, and key performance parameters for a capability increment. A validated CDD is essential for starting an acquisition program at milestone B and entering the engineering and manufacturing development phase. An updated CDD is submitted if requirements evolve during the EMD phase, replacing the need for a separate Capability Production Document, CPD, at milestone C. If requirements remain unchanged, the original CDD supports milestone C, reducing the documentation burden. This outlines the major capability acquisition process in the Defense Acquisition System, which consists of 5 phases and 3 key milestones, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. The process begins with the Material Development Decision, or MDD, which is mandatory for entry into the acquisition process and is made by the Milestone Decision Authority, the MDA, who's typically the DAE, the Defense Acquisition Executive, AAE, the Army Acquisition Executive, or PEO. Some key points to note here is 5 phases, and the acquisition process progresses through these phases that start with material solutions analysis and end with operations and sustainment. 3 milestones, talked about that. And there's a number of in-phase decisions. There's the development of the request for proposal, the RFP, release and full rate production and full deployment decisions, These are all important events within the phases. Compliance. All services must adhere to DAS regulations and establish service-specific acquisition rules as necessary. In the material solutions analysis phase, the focus is on conducting detailed analysis to select a concept for the product to be acquired. This phase translates identified capability gaps into specific system requirements, including the development of key performance parameters and key system attributes. Key activities during this phase include analysis of alternatives, AOA, conducted through comparisons of potential solutions to determine the best option. There's the drafting of the CDD, and in this case, the capability developer prepares this crucial document. Project management setup. This is the selection of the project manager and establishment of the program management office, or PMO. Acquisition strategy and documentation. So developing an acquisition strategy and the test and evaluation master plan, or TEMP, and all the other necessary documents that are required to support milestone A. The MSA phase concludes once all required analyses and planning activities are completed, allowing the program to move forward to meet the next phase and decision points in the acquisition process. This phase ensures that the foundation for the acquisition strategy is solid, setting the stage for successful program execution. The analysis of alternatives, AOA, is a critical component of the defense acquisition system, aiming to identify the most effective alternative to address the capability gap identified in the ICD. The AOA focuses on evaluating existing material options, assessing their operational effectiveness, suitability, and lifecycle cost. So key points include the purpose. The AOA seeks to find the best solution by comparing alternatives based on how well they mitigate the identified capability gap, utilizing existing military hardware, commercial off-the-shelf items, and other proposed solutions. Scope. The AOA considers both material and non-material aspects, for example, organizational training facilities, to ensure a comprehensive evaluation. It also includes the fully burdened cost of energy, FBCE, as a critical factor when it differentiates among alternatives. The process. The AOA is first conducted during the material solution analysis phase and reviewed at milestone A. So it's a dynamic document subject to updates, particularly at the start of the technology development phase, with another review at milestone B. For ACAT-1 programs, public law mandates that the milestone decision authority certify that an AOA has been conducted according to guidance from the Director of Cost Assessment and Program Evaluation, or CAPE. Further certification to Congress is required at milestone B. Updates. The AOA may not be required at milestone C unless significant changes in threats, costs, and technology necessitate a review. The process ensures that all potential alternatives are rigorously evaluated to select the most promising solution for the capability gap identified in the ICD, aligning with both operational and cost effectiveness criteria. In the technology maturation and risk reduction phase, TMRR, the primary goal is to minimize risks related to technology engineering, integration, and lifecycle costs. This phase is crucial for ensuring that the program can proceed confidently into the engineering and manufacturing development, or EMD phase, and eventually to production and sustainment. Key activities during the TMRR phase include competitive prototyping, preliminary design review, the AOA update, CDD validation, and the development of the RFP release decision, finalizing the request for proposal to solicit bids for the EMD phase, really. At the end of this phase, the program should be a well-defined and mature project with reduced risks, making it ready for the next milestone, Milestone B, which includes entering into full-scale development. The successful completion of the TMRR phase is guided by a comprehensive acquisition strategy and marks a critical transition point in the acquisition process, setting the stage for future success in development and deployment. In the engineering and manufacturing development phase, the primary goal is to reduce technology, engineering, integration, and lifecycle costs to ensure the program is ready for production and deployment. The purpose of this phase is to develop, build, and test the product to verify that it meets all required capabilities and is ready for mass production. So key activities during this phase include developmental test and evaluation, critical design review, operational assessments, CDD validation, finalizing product support package. This is completing the lifecycle sustainment plan to ensure long-term supportability of the system. And then the RFP release and source selection for production. This involves finalizing the request for proposal and selecting sources for full-scale production. The EMD phase ends when the system's design is stable. It meets validated capability requirements, manufacturing processes are under control, and industrial production capabilities are in place. In the production and deployment, or P&D phase, the focus shifts to producing and developing fully compliant products to military organizations. The purpose of this phase is to transition from development to full operational capability through careful, phased production and deployment. Key activities during the P&D phase include low-rate initial production, limited deployment, initial operational test and evaluation, full-rate production, or the decision to do that, sustainment and support initiation, initial operating capability. This is basically achieving the first stage where the system is ready for operational use by the military. So the P&D phase concludes when the system reaches full operational capability, FOC, or when full deployment has been successfully completed. In the operations and support phase, the primary goal is to maintain the system's operational readiness and ensure it meets performance requirements throughout its life cycle, including eventual disposal. The purpose of this phase is to execute product support strategy, sustain the system, and manage it efficiently over its entire life. Key activities here include program resources and IP management, depot-level maintenance, cost reduction, system readiness, and disposal, which is really where the phase ends. Once again, here's the major capability acquisition model, and it's the traditional path to material development. So just take a moment to review what we just went over. Your instructor may walk you through this slide, which presents a comprehensive timeline of the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle, the JLTV. More specifically, the acquisition process, which spans a total of 43 years from the initial concept to the projected full operational capability, or FOC. This timeline underscores the complexity and duration of major defense acquisition programs. So it took 13 years for the JLTV to progress from the material development decision, MDD, to initial operating capability, IOC, and it's expected that it'll take 30 more years to achieve FOC. The JLTV program exemplifies the long-term nature of developing and fielding advanced military capabilities. When the Army identifies an urgent need, the Defense Acquisition System Urgent Capability Acquisition Process is used. Requests are submitted through the CIPRNet-based Equipment Common Operating Picture ECOP database and fall into two categories: authorized/pre-validated equipment sourcing documents, ESDs, and operational needs statements, ONS. Authorized/pre-validated ESDs. These are for equipment shortages or pre-approved items validated by Headquarters DA. Units, especially those deployed or high priority, can submit these requests for shortages in their MTO, TDA, or other Headquarters DA validated shortages. The ONS. Field commanders, typically at the 06 level, can initiate requests through the ECOP database. The ONS triggers a validation process involving RStaff, TRADOC, AMC, and material developers. Headquarters DA AR2B assesses the need, technology availability, and resource sourcing. If critical and resourced, a directed requirement may be issued. ONS submissions are reviewed by capability developers and training developers to determine broader applicability or standard acquisition process needs. If validated, the G357 prioritizes and documents these needs. The G8 and G4 and ASALT all provide resourcing solutions and sustainment guidance. In some cases, validated but unsourced urgent requirements lead to directives for higher headquarters to redistribute resources within units, especially during widespread shortages as seen during the Iraq surge. This process ensures critical needs are rapidly addressed to enhance mission accomplishment. The primary goal of the urgent capability acquisition pathway is to rapidly field capabilities to address urgent operational needs within a 2-year time frame. The DoD prioritizes providing warfighters with the necessary capabilities to counter unforeseen threats, achieve mission success, and minimize casualties. Urgent operational needs and quick reaction capabilities are identified and approved by designated authorities for swift resolution. To meet these urgent needs, the acquisition, product support, and sustainment processes, along with reviews and documentation, are aggressively streamlined. The objective is to plan for the capability within a few weeks, with development and production measured in months. The imperative is to quickly deliver useful capabilities to the warfighter in a timely manner. However, this accelerated timeline comes with risks. There may not be enough time to fully develop the capability to meet the exact requirements, and the costs associated with the shortened timeline can be higher. The aim of the middle-tier acquisition pathway is to rapidly field systems with proven technologies, ensuring efficiency and speed. The MTA pathway includes rapid prototyping and rapid fielding, followed by operations and sustainment. Rapid prototyping develops fieldable prototypes within 5 years, with decisions made in 6 months. This phase quickly demonstrates new capabilities. Rapid fielding starts once funds are authorized and is completed within 5 years delivering production quantities swiftly. These images showcase major acquisition programs that represent key defense capabilities across different domains of warfare. These programs are critical to maintaining and enhancing the U.S. military's operational effectiveness. Keep these systems in mind as we turn to the modernization priorities and what the Army is currently focused on. You are already familiar with the priorities outlined in the U.S. Army modernization strategy. That were established as the vision of the future Army and provides a framework for the Army strategy to balance near, mid, and far-term investments. The figure 34+1 refers to the 35 interdependent initiatives that align with the 7 broad priorities listed on your screen. The newest priority is contested logistics. Once again, here are the top 5 takeaways for F103. As a reminder, this video is not a substitute for your readings and other lesson materials. Thank you for your attention.